So there we go. And now we're going to get a little lighter, and we're just going to get progressively more and more lighter. And you can see that the details are coming out now, right? Like compared to how it started, where it was just this flat black. Now it's kind of got like a bit more depth to it, right? It's looking pretty good, I think. So once this is done, we are very close to finishing this model. I'm actually very excited about that. I think I might add some verdigris to this, to again, in an effort to kind of match the model itself. So I've mostly been using my inexpensive paint for this, but now we're gonna dip into my stash of good paint and put a dab of verdigris from Vallejo. Some people say Vallejo, but I'm pretty sure it's Vallejo. If I could find it, Vallejo. Ah, here we are. Night Trap, those bricks look very accurate. Would you say that they're about the length of a human foot? Mary Trunks approved. I actually turned that into a separate YouTube video, the whole conversation about the brick and the foot. You can find that on my YouTube channel. It's visible for all time. Actually, I don't know if I've uploaded that, because I kind of have like a backlog of uploads. So I don't know if if that has been uploaded yet, but it will be very soon if it hasn't yet. Mary Trunks approved, that's right. Just titled the video Bricks? Shittin' Bricks? Shit talking bricks? I don't know, I called it something far lamer than that, I don't know. Brick Talk. Brick Talk with the champ. So yeah, I mixed some of this verdigris, and we're gonna try and just add a bit of that to this scene. This is getting really, really light now, but we're kind of drying it off. This is the dry brush technique, very well-known technique for people that play Warhammer. And now we're just gonna try and get the edges now. Ooh, too much. Just try and get the edges. And we're kind of just dabbing so that we're not getting like the brush strokes. And instead we kind of want that uneven splotchy texture from this uneven splotchy brush. This brush is very, very old and mushed up. We're just gonna kind of get that texture, and then we're gonna actually go in with the sponge, and we're gonna do the same thing. Yeah, this is actually turning out pretty nice. I'm actually pretty happy with this. I'm holding this at an angle, guys, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. The key is to kind of get a lot of different tones, right, into the floor, and not uniformly paint it all the same. Because look at the ground, like look out your window. Look out your window. Go outside for once in your life. And you know, look at the ground. You'll see that there's, in your mind's eye, when you think of like the mud and the ground, it's probably brown or something. But when you actually look at that stuff in real life, there's just all these tones in it, right? That was one of those eye-opening things in art school for me, actually, was like, I remember my instructor telling us about like how to think about colors, right? And when you think about like even the human skin, right? When you think about when you're life painting and drawing like a nude, right? Your initial sort of reaction is to uniformly paint the human body a single kind of skin tone color, right? Like, for example, you know, like some kind of peachy pink kind of color, right? That's sort of like your initial reaction. But that's not really how humans are colored, right? Like when you think of your typical average Caucasian person, for example, it's not like they're all just the same color. uniformly everywhere, right? They have suntans, they've got the blotches of red, you know, they've got dark spots under their eyes and you know, like stretch marks and all sorts of things, right? Brown spots and bluish spots, and where the skin is like where there's a lot of blood flowing through underneath the skin, there's like a lot more red, you know. These are all things that you can think about when you're painting to kind of make your paintings come to life, and that applies to more than just the humans, that human figures. It applies to like the sky, it applies to cars, it applies to everything. I remember in my first year of art school, we were doing life drawing, and I think one of the take-home assignments was like a portrait. Like we had to do a self-portrait of ourselves, right? Very, very kind of daunting task. Like, you know, they're kind of asking us to really sort of look at ourselves and paint ourselves. And I remember showing my progress to my instructor at first and being like, oh, you know, I'm having some problems here because you've only ever really taught us how to paint white people. I only really know how to paint white people. You didn't show us how to paint an Asian like me. And I remember he got like kind of flustered by that. He was like, well, here, let me show you real quick, okay? So then he's like, okay, you know, when you're painting like someone like you, it's the same principle. You're gonna just use some of the same paint, and then you're gonna add this and that. You're gonna just keep, and he was like really, oh shit, oh fuck, oh fudge, look at that, it broke. Okay, I'm gonna glue this. Okay, we're gonna glue that. He got really frustrated, and at least it broke off cleanly. It's not like a nasty break. And yeah, he showed how to do it. It wasn't a big deal after all. But I just remember like taking note of how flustered he seemed by the whole thing. And the funny thing is, there was a lot of other students that were like, yeah, how do we paint like you know, like a black student, right? Like he was like, you didn't really teach me how to paint someone like me. Damn, careful, Ipo. Yeah, my bad. At least it was a clean break, though. This stuff, I basically just kind of used typical white glue. But this is now super glue, so it'll be a lot stronger, I think, hopefully. Hopefully. Is there a... Do I have something appropriate for what just occurred? Let me see. What's a good one? Here.
Oh my god!
There we go. Goro, yeah, he only taught us how to paint white people, yeah. And I just remember asking him that, and suddenly a crowd was forming all around. Everyone needed to know, because not every student there was of the Caucasian persuasion. And he was like, here, see, this is what you do. You add this and this. It's funny. I mean, ultimately, he was like the takeaway, if anyone was curious as to how. Like, he was essentially saying, like, you basically take the same kind of formula that you would use for like a, you know, like a person with like pinkish flesh, but then you would slowly introduce other colors, like your brown, like your reds, or your like, you would never actually add like straight up black, though, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was something that was not like a thing that they taught us. You would never just add straight up black to your paint, just because that would basically make your painting go dead, right? You're just kind of like making it too flat now. So you would always you would always just add other colors to kind of make a darkish tone, but never just straight up black. And even brown was kind of like, even using straight up brown was kind of like, I don't know what the word is, like kind of frowned upon. Because again, that was like, they would rather, in artsy fartsy terms, they would rather you mix it all together. So like if you wanted brown, you would mix like reds and blues together to kind of get like a brownish color. That would make purple, but like you just keep on mixing all this different shit and then you'd make brown. You're taught to mix everything. Yep, that's how we were taught. Goro, I think TZ was a fine teacher for fundies or first year, but we need more advanced shit by the second or third year. I mean, some people were already talented, but sometimes I needed more and maybe I was just a dummy. No, I think that's a fair assessment. We were taught to mix everything. Even a straight ultramarine needs some white. So I think you're on the money there with your assessment, Goro. The thing is, I feel like Ted was a very good... Oh, I just let it out. But TZ, it doesn't matter really. TZ was a good instructor for that purpose of like kind of teaching you how to paint. But as the years go on in the program, you're kind of getting farther away from painting as a means to an end, and rather it's just like a tool in your arsenal, right? And so they would sort of like, as the years goes on, they kind of pivot into more specific kinds of learning, and in that sense, the usage of TZ was kind of better in terms of like thinking more in the abstract. I enjoyed like the things that he was showing that was like more conceptual. That's the stuff that interested me more anyways. So you haven't seen oh gosh, what's it called? The French Dispatch. That's the latest Wes Anderson movie. You have not seen that, right, Goro? Because there's this line in it that I think once you hear it, I'm not even going to tell you what it is, okay? I'm not even going to tell you what this line is, but once you hear this line and the whole first story, so to speak, you'll understand why I might suggest it to you, because it seems to kind of speak to some of our own personal experiences in that world, in the art world, for anyone that's interested. And I do recommend that movie. It's a very funny movie, although slightly different from other Wes Anderson movies. French Dispatch, that's the one. Check it out, because there's, as I said, there's a line in particular, but the whole first story, I think kind of speaks to our experiences in some fashion. Now I'm just kind of stippling on some of this to get a bit more texture. Oh, you still gotta see Sonic 2. I'm surprised that you haven't seen Sonic 2 yet, there, Goro. What's the holdup, bruh? Do you want both hands to be fully healed before you watch Sonic 2 so you can raise them in the air triumphantly as the credits roll? So I can feel that the glue still hasn't fully dried. If this hasn't dried nicely, then we'll have to resort to more drastic measures, which I'll have to do off stream. I don't know, maybe I'll have to perform some kind of ancient ritual of bonding to create a stronger bond. Okay, so let's just kind of get more of this. We're dabbing my sponge just to get this blotchy texture. It's funny though, I wonder how much of those, yeah, you tell me there, Goro, how much of that theory, painting theory, applies to digital painting? Because I do digital painting, but I don't know, I feel like my methodology is different than than like what's typical. So like, what would you say? Would you say that some of those the thought process, does that still apply to digital painting in some respects? Like, or are you, because the whole notion of mixing paint is very different, is it not? Working digitally, it's not like you mix paint. You just sort of pick from a scroll wheel, you know, like, and you can endlessly change your mind about things. The Robert Eggers movie, is that the Viking? Is that what it's called? The Northman? That one looks pretty cool. I have no idea if it's good. I've never seen any of his movies, but it looks cool. Who is that actor? Has he been in anything that I would know of? Like, yeah, I don't think I've seen that actor before, but he's freaking ripped. I know that Bjork is in that movie. That's cool. I like Bjork. So yeah, here's an example of the wall. What else has he directed, Eggers? Goro, I mix paint that way sometimes digitally? Oh, really? Interesting. But I guess in theory it should still apply in the sense that, like, you know, you should still kind of like think about creating depth in your paintings, your digital paintings, rather than you know, using just like black. I remember when our instructor Z told us about that, how we should think differently about painting, and how we should observe the colors like how they really are. And I remember like being in a car, like going home or something, and having that in mind, and just looking at the sky and thinking like, oh, there's cerulean blue, there's some magenta in the sky. Like, I was thinking about, you know, all of these things as I was going about my daily life, and it was one of those things where, like, felt like it was like this eye-opening thing for me, you know? Like, I was like, oh wow, he's true. There's all these colors. Because again, like, when you think, you know, if you're a kid or a non-painter person, and you're thinking about these colors, you're thinking about the sky, you might just think the sky is blue, right? The sky is blue, white clouds, right? The grass is green. When, yeah, it's not like that at all. There's so much color around us that we don't even really see, don't really think about. Goro, like, I lay down some color and then I start painting over it with something else, and get the mixed result that way. Oh, okay, and then you play around with like transparencies to get like a different tone, pushing the warms and the cools and the complementary colors. Exactly. Some art talk, guys. Pardon me for anyone here that's not artistically inclined. We're just kind of going off on our art talk. I think I need to kind of dry brush this on. And I might do some more tones. Might kind of get a bit more of a mid-tone going on. And we're kind of being a little more selective about where it's placed now. And then what I might do is like a final highlight. And then we actually might do some washes for these rocks and kind of introduce more tones. Again, this is the kind of thing where I feel like you could do a base and kind of really do it simplistically, but if you think about it realistically, and if you take a bit more time and think about it as you're painting it, that kind of helps bring out the story in some respects, bring out like the realism of the scene. I mean, what do I know? And I think I might go back with a brush, a finer brush, and kind of get these details. But this is actually looking pretty alright thus far. Let's put this guy, let's put the guy here, and we can kind of see where we're at. Let's put the model. Whew, the leg fell off. Let's see where we're at. Ooh, that's looking kind of cool, guys. It's looking kind of cool, guys. Look at that. What do you guys think? We're getting there, I think. Oh, it's... there you go. Goro dope. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty alright. I think I need to just slowly lighten up the bricks a little more. Maybe with a wash. I think I'm gonna do a little wash on the bricks.
Mission complete.
Almost. Mission halfway complete.
Easy operation.
Yes, there you go, guys. Good usage. Good application. You guys get some kudos for the proper application of the sound bites. Yeah, so maybe we'll do a wash. Let me take a look. I think I missed something real quick. Goro, however you look at things, traditionally affects how you paint digitally. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Goro, I am sometimes amazed how the same deficiencies or idiosyncrasies I have painting with acrylic or watercolor always finds its way into my digital painting. Interesting. That's a Paint Wars technique, dry brush. Yeah, that's like a Warhammer thing too. I mean, I guess it's a thing for like even like old-timey painters too. But you're right. There's things that like there's ways that I draw and color things, and it sort of makes its way into like the digital world as well. Like you're just the general kind of like style or temperament that you have with painting, it kind of just makes its way into there somehow. It's very kind of weird how that happens. The thing I hate about digital, tell me what you do, Goro. Tell me what you do, because the thing about digital that I don't like is how you can just constantly take things back, and you can just constantly change your mind about things. And I find that it creates this scenario where I'm just forever changing my mind about things and just constantly going back, deleting, creating a new layer, copying it, pasting it, trying different things. It's a good thing in a sense, but it's a bad thing in the sense that it just means that like I just feel like I'm being super indecisive about my color choices. Whereas if I were doing things traditionally, I might have just been like, "Yep, that's the color. The first thing I did, that's how it's colored now." Because I've made a choice and I can't really take it back without really a huge amount of effort, you know? That's how I feel about digital. So I don't know how you feel. Like, what do you do in situations like that? Let me know. I'm gonna take a little drink here. That was a big gulp. That was very satisfying though. So now I have a smaller brush, and this time I'm going to kind of pick out the details a little more specifically from the bricks. And we're not going to get every single part. And I'm kind of dabbing. I'm not trying to create like a firm, straight brush stroke. Just kind of dabbing along. And I'm not fully drying the brush off, but I'm just kind of getting a little bit of paint on it. And it looks like bird shit. Like there's a bit of bird poo here, which I actually kind of like. So I'm gonna leave it, and I might actually try and replicate that. Some bird poo. Little happy accident. Big game today. Got some basketball to look forward to. I mean, I was talking about this earlier, but yeah. As far as I'm concerned, the Raptors are playing with house money. They've done more than enough to prove that they're a good team, short of actually winning the entire championship. But that's sort of like a pie in the sky thing. This year is not the year. You know? It's not the push. You'll know when the push is. And can I just say that Masai Ujiri looks like a genius? I was doubting Scotty Barnes at the start. I thought it was fool. He was a fool for not picking Cade Cunningham. I think that was the guy that we could have picked, right? Thought he was a damn fool. But who is the fool now? Here we are, Goro. I don't really get indecision. It just takes me a while to get it right. Yeah, okay. Also been doing it forever now. That helps too, for sure. Goro, I like being able to refine and clean and improve the drawing until I'm satisfied. The biggest problem I have is keeping track of size with the zoom always on. Keeping track of the gestalt theory. Goro, I have had to tone my details down on purpose and always zoom out to a specific size to check how it looks. Yeah, so for me, like I usually start from paper. Like I usually start drawing with paper. So when I scan in the paper drawing, like I already have kind of like a realistic idea in mind of how big it should be. But even so, like some of the latest things that I've drawn, I draw them massive. I do these massive drawings in real life, and then I scan them in multiple parts, so they actually are super detailed. And yeah, that it's the same problem. It's just like I know in real life how big that thing is. For example, Night Trap, his break time or starting soon screen, that is just a zoomed in part of a larger illustration that is far, far larger than what you're seeing there. But yeah, that I do get what you mean about that. That's like one of those traps. A trap in the digital realm is getting caught up in endlessly in details. That's something. So yeah, like as far as like working digitally goes, I try and again, with when I was asking about the indecision, for me it's like I try and maintain that mood and feeling of how it was when I was painting in real life. Traditionally, I try and think about that constantly in terms of like that feeling and the immediacy. How do we bring that feeling of immediacy to digital work? Because I actually find that sometimes there's a lot of that immediacy when I'm drawing and working IRL, working in meat space. And then when I bring that drawing into digital, and the more I work on it, I know you were saying earlier that you like the fact that you can work on something and refine it. But for me, I feel like the more I work on something, I kind of run into this issue where the drawing kind of loses that immediacy and it kind of gets dead. Like, it kind of dies. Because I feel like the best part of my own work personally, like the thing that I like about my work, and it seems that the thing that people like about my work, is that feeling of immediacy, I guess. And you kind of lose that if you overwork something, and that actually applies to digital and in real life too. You can overwork a painting as well, or a drawing. You can overwork it in real life as well. So that's something I try and keep in mind, is like not really overworking something, I guess. Just more art talk, guys. Goro used to do that, scanning multiple parts. For comics, it's a huge trap. Interesting. So yeah, this is looking really, really pretty good right now. And yeah, so this isn't pure white. This is actually like a mix of browns and even like a hint of teal. And it reads as white, but I think it looks a little more interesting than if it was just straight up white. Got a reboot. Goro, I have had to tone my details down. Oh, I read that. So the next time I stream, this thing will probably be done, and I'll probably post a picture of it on Instagram or something when we're done. And that'll be nice. Be nice to finally have this done and dusted. Actually, well, there's still the model that I wanted to put, but that can kind of wait. You know, the mech was the main attraction. The model is something that I'd like to add, although that being said, I feel like the sort of dynamics of this scene here, it's just a little too small. Like this diorama, I kind of made it too small now, but I'll work on it because that's what I wanted to do initially. Let's add the female pilot figure sitting down. I didn't really have a super firm plan in mind. I had this loose idea of what... Mika, what is up, Mika? Got the sound bites. Yeah, I just added those in. I remember you asking about if I was gonna add some rewards, and finally added a few rewards. There you go. How's it going, Mika? Not bad. I think we can go a touch lighter now, but I don't really want to overdo it. So we're just gonna slowly... The delay is a lot slower than I thought. Yeah, that's yeah, I don't really know why. It's just how it is, maybe. So yeah, you probably wanted to time it, but actually the timing was pretty good, I think. Let's try and get... That's just how it is. Okay, Bacon. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. Okay, so I think I'm going to get some gloss varnish, guys. So just hold on a second. Just hold up. Alright, so I just got some of this. Camera's yeah, it's on autofocus, so it kind of will come in and out depending on what we're looking at. It's good now. Yep. Got this Tamiya gloss. I think I'm gonna add a dab of this to some brown and black, which I gotta remix because I kind of mixed it all up. You know, the dollar store sells... Oh, why did I pour more brown? I have enough brown. The dollar store and like Walmart, they sell like color shifting paints and paints with like sparkles in it and stuff. I'm thinking about trying out some of that stuff, messing around with it, but I don't know what I'd really do with it. Ultra Prime now following. Thank you for the follow, Ultra Prime. How's it going? What are you up to? Okay, we're just gonna get some of this muddy look here. And I'm gonna add a dab of gloss varnish to this, and we'll see how it looks. I actually have no idea what's going to happen. This is the reason to get a wet palette. I actually do have a wet palette, but I'm not using it for this purpose just because excuse me, I'm dry brushing right now, and I kind of need the paint not to be as wet as it tends to be when you put it onto a wet palette. Kind of need that tackiness of the paint. Ultra Prime, you're fine. What am I working right now? So this is a diorama. This is just like the base of a diorama, as you can see here. And it's for this model. I've showed this before, but I'll show you. This is a, hold on, let's get into focus. A Moderoid Exoframe from Good Smile Company. And yeah, this is the model that'll go on there. Little Japanese model kit. Alright, let's mix some of this stuff. I really don't know what's going to happen. This is an experiment. Just adding some gloss to this mud. This muddy look. This is an experiment, and I don't know what's going to happen. Let's get some red. And I think we're going to kind of water it down. We'll kind of get it to a point where it's a bit more wet. Holy crap. Let's, how am I going to do this? Crap. I'm trying to think, what do I have here to... Let's get some of this. This is the mix. And it feels sticky, like I can feel how sticky it is now with the addition of that stuff. And we'll kind of add a bit of water. Let's add a bit of water. And we're going to kind of use this as like a wash or a glaze to kind of get a slightly more wet look, I think. I think that's what's going to happen. Maybe we should add a bit more of this to make sure that it's going to be... Make sure that it's going to be wet looking. Mika ran out of earth texture, so I can't do any more basing. No! How are you liking that earth texture stuff? So if you're basing the model, does that mean you're done your models? Or that's something that you do at the start of the process so that it's kind of finished and then you can work on the rest? Okay, now we're gonna just sort of just mix this around. It looks like it's kind of shiny. I don't know. And let's see. How is this gonna look? I'm not really sure how. Okay. Okay, I think we can kind of just streak this on a little bit. I just want the muddy parts to be a little glossy to look like real mud. And what I think I'm going to do is get some of this on the bottom of the feet of my mech here so that it matches, right? The mech is actually quite, it has like a bright red muddy look to it, but I think we'll try and match this. And mud kind of can pool up in the deeper recesses, so there's like little divots because I made this ground very uneven. So we can kind of pull it up, let it collect up in the recessed parts. We can kind of do that. But this is kind of an experiment at this point. I don't really know how it'll look when it's dry. If it looks shitty, we'll just cover it up. But I think it might actually not. I think it won't look too shiny when it's done. And if that's the case, well, that's fine too. Mika, I got mine from Vallejo, Earth Texture, and I've done it for this project as the models are smaller, and they're not in power armor like your Death Guard. Okay. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those. They seem fun to use, those texture paints and stuff like that. They seem fun to mess around with. I was actually looking into the Vallejo metal colors. I don't know if you've used any of that stuff. That seems also very interesting as well. It seems like it's a more finer texture of metal flakes that they use. So it seems realer, like it seems more realistic, the metal. So I'm looking into that because I have a model that has a lot of gold plastic parts, and it's kind of like, it looks like Lego gold. Like the gold for like Lego Ninjago stuff. And I'm thinking I might use some nicer paint, some Vallejo paint, and that'll make it look like shiny, realistic metal. I think that might look cool. Oh, by the way, there's some kind of Warhammer thing this weekend, I think? Is it this weekend? There's like a Warhammer event where they're gonna be showing off more stuff, more heresy stuff. So that'll be cool. I'm looking forward to that. Because it's Gene Stealer cults, so there's no power armor. Right, they're just kind of wearing like light armor, right? Yeah, those models are really cool. See, as you can see here, the legs, the feet of the model, I put some like brown paint, kind of like I mixed some pastel brown with matte medium, and it kind of made this kind of bright looking brown, which is not too great in my opinion. So now I'm trying to knock it down a bit. Trying to knock it down. But I also might match a bit of this brownish into this. And yeah, it seems a little more integrated now, so that's okay. Okay, yeah, not bad. So we're close. I think we'll leave it at that. We'll leave this model in this state right now, and then I'll take a look at it later tonight and see if there's any adjustments that can be made. But we're getting really close, guys. Really close to finishing this model. I'll hold it up. I'll hold it up like this so you guys can see. And I wanted him kneeling, but I have the option of making him stand too. So that's kind of generally how I wanted it. Yeah, it looked pretty nice. So yeah. Let's just put this aside.